joining me. I'm Debbie Talbert-Duggar, the author of Riding Solo. And when you talk about riding solo, my guest on this solo chat knows a little bit about that. Whitney Meza. Whitney rode across country 48 states in 8 days in an iron butt challenge this past summer, an astonishing accomplishment. Whitney is a military mom. She is the coolest mom in the car pickup line for her 2 little humans. And she is the recipient of one of the top 100 women in Powersports this past weekend in Las Vegas, a well-deserved accomplishment. I chatted with Whitney not only about her amazing ride in 48 states, but also what might be next for this solo rider. And I also found out that in her spare time, she actually has a full-time job as the social media coordinator for Destination Door County in Wisconsin, where she lives. I really admire her enthusiasm. I envy her youth. And I am so motivated when I talk to Whitney that I'm ready to throw my leg over the saddle and do something almost as epic. So lean in and listen as I chat with Whitney Meza. Whitney, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. It's so good to see you.
Well, it's good to finally meet you, even if it is virtually. I think I ran across, well, first of all, I followed your journey. And like I said, I'm such a fangirl. I'm going to try not to gush too much during this little chat. But wow, 48 states in 8 days.
Yes. Yep.
You are
17 hours and some odd minutes if you want to be specific.
Yeah. I would count every one of those minutes, especially when I stopped. That is such an incredible accomplishment. I've ridden across country a couple times, well, about 4 times now.
Nice.
And I think that I did one trip in 9 days from Florida to Seattle, Washington.
That's awesome.
And I thought that was leisurely. So let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
When you decide to do something like this, what's the thought process? Did you just wake up one morning and say, I think I got to do this?
Pretty much. I guess it stemmed from, I came across you, and I also came across Wendy Crockett when we were together for that Women in Motorcycling online get together.
Oh, okay. Elisa Clickinger's thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so that's how I was introduced to all of you guys. And so Wendy was one of those that had her class about long distance riding, and it piqued my interest. And so I started looking into just doing a Saddle Sore 1000 with my Sportster. That was 2020. And then after I did that, I was instantly hooked. So I started digging into the Iron Butt Association and a little bit more detail about all these different rides. And I dug into the 48 states in 10 days. One, because Mike Kneebone and Fran Crane were the first ones to do it. And I instantly wanted to learn more about Fran Crane and what she had done and all of this. And I'm like, you know what, this is possible. And I dug into the logistics of records, but they don't really say whether or not they're female or male, which is totally fine for my sake. But I'm going through the records of when they started it to, I think it was 1993, I believe, or something like that is when they started. And I started to count the women, or what I thought that were actual riders, not passengers included. And I counted maybe 13, 14, or 15 total of those women. I was like, this is it. This is the thing that I want to do. And from then I just had no reservations whatsoever.
Good. And you get addicted to those long distances.
Yes.
I'm just curious, did they give the age of the people who had completed that particular Iron Butt?
No, they gave so your first name, last name, the bike you were riding, the mileage that you completed it in, and I think that's it. Like, so it's very generalized, but yeah, it would be nice to dive into a little bit more of the
Yeah,
logistics.
because I have, I would love to do it. I would love to do it. And I just might be the oldest woman to do it, I
Do
think.
it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Oh my God, you're gonna get, oh, see, I'm 66.
I'll help you start planning. We'll start
Well,
tonight and we'll write it down.
oh, well, I'm on it. I'm 66. I'll be 67 this year. And, I would love to, I'm not going to do it just to do it. I need to do it and say, yeah, she's the oldest woman to do that, because it's a grind. It's a grind, and being my age, I've done 600 or 700 mile days, but the hips aren't what they used to be. And I try to keep myself in shape for this. Did you do anything specific physically to get ready for it?
I tried.
Okay, I lost your audio. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
no?
I can hear you now.
Weird.
Not sure what that was. So we
That's
were
okay.
talking. I'd say my internet connection is unstable. That's weird. Oh, well, we're going to keep going anyway. I can
Sounds
still
good.
hear you, and we're still recording. So the physical preparation for it.
So I had my hands busy leading up to that. So my husband was actually on a quote unquote deployment, and I just, there was so much more going on to it that I didn't know what bike I was going to take until the beginning of this last year, 2021. So I finally secured the bike about less than 2 months before I actually did my event. So in the beginning of May, and we were visiting him in Hawaii for that first month when I found out. And so I really didn't have much like time to ride. And then when I got back, I secured the bike, had an opportunity to ride out to Babes Ride Out in Narrowsburg, New York. So I did an iron butt out there as my first test run. That was 2 weeks before I did my 48 and 10. And then I just had to get used to it. So,
and Harley Davidson loaned you the new Pan America for it.
Yes. Yep, the Pan America Special bike. So I was very, very fortunate to be able to secure one of those, because they were hard to come by, because they just released the information on it. They were doing test rides and demos and stuff like that with it. So I think it helped that I was local to Wisconsin and close to Milwaukee and the corporate area. That made it a little easier to do like the services and all of that they could do directly at corporate. So luck was in my side for sure on that.
Yeah, and then they took it away from you. We were all rooting for Harley Davidson just to give you that damn bike. I mean,
I know, I still dream about it, and I wish it was in my garage. There is going to be some point where if I could find that bike again, if some dealer has it somewhere and is willing to like have me like work out a deal with me and purchase it that way, I would love to do it. But I had it for a little over a month, so for almost 5 weeks. So I was just to have that bike for that a short amount of time, and to put, I think I put 14, almost 15,000 miles on it in that 4 weeks time span. I got pretty like a good amount of time with the bike that people would get for an entire year, I suppose. So
was it, yeah, for an entire year. Was it comfortable?
Absolutely. I was kind of terrified because I went to the museum just to look at one of the like demos that they had there, but I didn't get a chance to sit on it or do anything as far as logistics go until I picked up the bike and took it home. So I was praying to God it was going to work for me, and it somehow fit me absolutely perfect. I tried to put like an extra padded seat on it to give me something different, and I hated it. I took it off. Everything was stock. The entire bike was.
Yeah. So you did the first iron butt. I've never done an iron butt. I don't know why. No, okay. I just haven't. I don't know. I guess I have felt like I haven't needed to prove my butt is iron, but I'm intrigued by extreme kind of rides, and certainly the iron butts are. And you did your first one 1,000 miles in what, 24 hours?
Pretty much almost exactly 24 hours. I had my little Sportster 883.
Oh man.
It was an '03, so it's not the most comfortable bike compared to some of the newer Sportsters right now, but I took that around the entire Lake Michigan. So I started here in Wisconsin, went through all of Michigan, through the Mackinac Bridge and back, and made it just under 23 hours. It was a long process and a lot of stops, but yeah.
Yeah, and I looked at your route on that. I've done the circle tour of Michigan and Superior.
Yeah.
And boy, I would do that ride all over again. It was so gorgeous. I don't know about crossing borders right now into Canada, because Superior, of course, is up in Canada too.
I don't know yet. I looked into it last year and they still were closed down. And that was part of the reason why I could only do 48 and 10, because I couldn't get up to Alaska either to do 49. So eventually that's on my list, and I'm gonna search you out when I do get.
Will you? Because I want to ride to Alaska. You know what really caught me is when you were flipping through those books, and you see this here, Ghost Rider. I love this guy. I've read every one of the books he's ever written. Oh, and all my little tabs and everything, I quote him a lot in my own book, because when I wanted to ride to Alaska. And of course, I live in Central Florida, so that's kind of a haul. And I read his yeah, I read his writing about his Alaska trip, where parts of Canada they call motorcyclists meals on wheels because of the bear population up there. And when I decided I wanted to do this, I read a lot of, reviews about riding through Canada to Alaska. And I wimped out. I said, I can't do this by myself. It just didn't make sense. So what I did was I rode from Florida to Seattle. Then we flew to Anchorage. And rented bikes and rode, and renting bikes up there is hard to do too, because it's such a short riding season. So we had them for 2 days and was able to ride around the Seward Peninsula there. But I want to go all the way up to Barrow, Alaska, and that is quite a trek. And I can tell you, I did it on a like a van, and that Dalton Highway
takes no prisoners.
Right. I mean, you got to have tenacity and but I would do it with you.
Yes,
I would do it with you. And I need a partner in crime for that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Because,
you can beat up each other and be supportive. So I'm totally game. You just let me know.
Okay. Well, I'm retiring at the end of May, so I'm gonna have time, and
this might align very perfectly then, because I have my father-in-law is doing some work up in Alaska as well, and so I have opportunity to stay up there and visit, and so it is around the May time frame as well. But there's also he'll be up there as a lot, so if I can go up there and visit,
Alaska it is just magical. Alaska is magical. I traveled in Alaska for 2 weeks on a motorcycle, a plane, a boat, a train.
You saw it all.
And it was just, I didn't see it all. I didn't get up to Barrow.
You saw as much as you possibly could.
I wanted to stick my feet in that Arctic Ocean, and we'll do that. You need support for what you do. I know you're a military wife. Your husband is in the military, and what did he think when you said, I need to do this? What was the conversation at dinner that night?
I don't know if there was a real conversation, because he was technically overseas, pretty much halfway across the globe, and I said, I'm thinking of doing this. Like, this is something I want to do. And I just put it out there, and he is one of those people that if I've got something on my mind and I have said it out loud, it's already halfway planned out and ready to go. So he's like, okay, what do we need to do? Like, how can I help you make this happen and get this off of your, like, it just feels inside of my head and I can't get it out until it's like planned out, written out, and ready to go. So he was like, yep, this is happening. I can't say any other any other way. So he was fully supportive. He took over the job as mom and dad when he got back from deployment, because I was with the kids for about a full year. He came back probably less than a month after he got home, and he was with the kids that entire 10 days, almost 11 days is when I was gone. Took it like a champ. He was like, yep, this is it.
Go dad. Yeah, I have a great support group too. You know,
Awesome.
my partner, my wingman, I call him.
Mhm.
It was well, we had just come out of quarantine in 2020, and I had taken care of my then 18-month-old grandson
Oh, yay.
during quarantine
Oh
because
gosh.
his daycare shut down, and my daughter is a nurse who worked the COVID floor. Anyway, I had
Right.
him for 3 months, and I hadn't taken care of an 18-year-old in quite some time.
Uh-huh.
But I got up one morning and I looked at my partner over coffee and I said, honey, I think I'm leaving Saturday for Arizona. And he looked at me and he said, how's your tires? So, you know,
Okay.
I had to go. I just had to go. And I've been working on another book that's fiction, and
Okay.
part of it takes place in Sedona, Arizona. And I have never been to Sedona. So I said, I'm headed out there.
Heck yeah.
And you know, you need a good support group when you're doing something like this, or you have these wild ideas.
Yes.
And I'm like you, if it comes out of my mouth, it means it's stuck in my head, and we're going to do it at some point.
You can't let it just fuel up there and simmer
No.
for so long. It just doesn't do me any good. It has to happen.
Well, I love that. And more women need to hear that. More women who ride need to hear that. You know, if you can believe it, you can do it. If you can conceive
100%.
it, you can do it.
Yep.
And they need to hear us talk about that and get more women out there challenging themselves to do these rides. You have little children. What's
Little. Yep.
what's the any comments from others, family members? You know, why should you do this? You've got little kids, and
I've got some
yeah,
immediate backlash from family members and such like that. So it was a little hard to take from my side of it, just because I thought they knew, like, this is my passion, this is what I enjoy doing. I want to do more of this. Please just kind of help me out. So it was a little unfortunate, but I made it work, and they realized after I completed the 48 and 10 that this is something that's not going to go away.
yeah,
And that support kind of grew from there. So it was a little rough at first, but yeah, not too bad now.
yeah. And now you're the coolest mom in the car pickup line, right?
I try to be.
Yeah,
Eventually I'll get a sidecar and I'll pick them up, and then I'll top that
yeah.
that
And all
that
the other
number.
moms are going, my girls were in high school when I bought my bike. Of course, I didn't start riding till I was 52 years old,
Okay.
but they were in high school. And I remember going to pick up my oldest daughter one time on my bike, and another mom was waiting there too, of course, in
Yep.
her car.
Yep.
And she literally looked at my daughter. She goes, I'll give you a ride home. You don't have to get on that bike. I said, okay, well,
Okay.
and my daughter just looked at her and said, no, I prefer to ride, you know. So there are
That's
those
awesome.
naysayers when you've got kids, and you know, mine were a little bit older, but
Mhm.
I think women need to hear that too, is
Absolutely.
kids don't mean we're locked in the house until they are of age and
Oh gosh,
go
no.
forth on their own. So I
My
was happy that you got to do that.
They're already begging. They are little wanderlust kids. They play like travels. They're got their backpacks on and they're headed to the airport and they're going to a hotel. Like, that's immediately
Ah,
the mindset when they're playing together, just from pure imagination. So I know that this is something that'll grow when they get a little bit bigger, because I have a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old, and the 8-year-old is like just about to touch the pegs on the motorcycle. It's still not quite, like, I'm not quite comfortable enough taking
yeah, yeah.
distances yet, but eventually we'll get there, and I'm like excited to see where it kind of takes off after.
Yeah, my grandson is 3, so that's
It's
a fun
fun.
age. It's,
It
it's
is.
just such a fun age. And then I've got a 13-month-old granddaughter, and I'm
Oh, you got your hands full, Grandma.
thoroughly enjoying being Mimi. I'm actually Mimi to
I
my
love that.
grandkids. But you also have a pop-up camper.
Yes. Yep. This is something that it's always been on my like bucket list of things that I want to check off the list and do. And I kind of bit the bullet this last year and purchased it from a fellow soldier that's in my husband's like area or unit or something like somehow correlated. And so it was a no-brainer. I was like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to revamp it, but I didn't get a chance to actually take it out camping yet because I finished all of the remodel in November, and here in Wisconsin November hits and it's
Oh
ice
yeah.
cold. So I've got every single like weekend for the summer laid out with the kids of like, okay, we're going camping, and I'm not sure where we're going camping yet, whether it's the backyard or whatnot, but we're gonna go out and take adventures.
And you redid it yourself?
Yes, the whole thing. Like I didn't
You're my hero.
leave
I'm
a
just
single thing
try not to
untouched for it.
gush here, but I'm gushing. You're my hero. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And your kids will not forget it. I did a bunch of tent camping with my girls. I have 2
And I
girls.
love it.
And well, they still talk about it. They're 29 and
Yes.
30 and they still talk about it, you know.
Perfect.
I'll never forget the summer we went out west and we just camped all over Utah, Arizona, and then we did a sweep down to Padre Island, Texas, and
Yes.
you know, we just had such a great time, and not a lot of money to do it because I didn't have a lot of money, but you
Smart
know,
with what you got.
yeah, and I had no fear of taking off with my girls and pitching the tent, and
Yes.
so
That's fantastic.
it is, and I can't wait for you to have that experience with your
Oh, I'm
kids.
so itching. It's just sitting in the cold negative degrees almost right now. Just
Well, I
waiting.
won't tell you it's 70 some degrees here.
Oh, sure. We're bringing it down to you then, that's for sure.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There's lots of places to camp down here. You can camp on the beach. And listen, before we run out of time, I want I've got, let me see, two questions to ask you.
Absolutely.
Tell me something your Instagram followers don't know about Whitney.
Oh man. Oh, that's a tough question.
Well, it is, because when you're, you know, have this presence on social media, you have a tendency to put everything out there that, but there's always something you don't want people to know, or else you haven't bragged about.
That's true too. I don't really know if they do know, they have to dig very, very deep into my social media account. But I am a freelance wedding photographer and I love photography. So weddings are my go-to. I enjoy doing them. It doesn't even feel like work to me, but photography is a like second source of income from my end of it that I love doing. So I don't get to share a lot like bride and groom pictures. I do some sneak peeks, but not a lot of people know.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Photography has always been my passion too. Way back when we used to actually learn to develop our own film and print it.
Got like two film cameras right over here too.
Yeah, that's old school. That is old school. And the next question, this is just burning. What's next? What is next?
I guess I can share a little bit because I've actually got the route planned and everything like that, but I won't share actual dates. But I'm doing a coast to coast, so 50 cc's. So I go from one coast to the other coast in less than 50 hours. So that is my next.
Coast to coast. Where are you going to start on the East Coast?
Probably California area, and then end up. So like I'll leave California before the sun like rises almost. And then that next evening, I will pretty much be sunset in Florida already, which is kind of cool to say that you have seen sunset in one part.
Yeah, that's a real sunrise sunset tour.
Yes.
You can do a sunrise sunset tour here in Florida.
Can you?
Yes, I've done it a couple times. You start on the East Coast, you get a nice little hotel on the East Coast, watch the sun come up. Then there's a couple cool, routes you can take across Central Florida, which a lot of people don't see. You know, we've got millions of tourists who come down here every year and stay on the beach or at Disney, and they never see we never see the beauty of Central Florida where I live. But anyway, then you head over to the West Coast, get a nice little hotel or the Don Cesar on the West Coast,
Nice.
and you watch the sunset.
Heck yeah. That sounds fantastic. So-
Well, that's compared to what you're going to do, though. That's a little bush league.
It's going to be a little more harder than probably expected because it's going to be happening very shortly here. But I want to make it happen because it's my birthday weekend and I'm bound to do it. So I got it.
Okay, well, and you're going to do that in like 24 hours.
So less than that, pretty much less than 48. So under 50, I have to meet to do an iron butt one, and then some long distance rallying. I really want to eventually get into the Iron Butt Association and do the rallying part of it to get that 3-digit number. Like that's kind of my main goal eventually. I'm not sure if it's this year or technically 2023. But I want to kind of prepare for that. So a lot of long distance endurance rallying.
Long distance, yeah. So and to end this, and when I end it, I'll stop the recording and then you and I'll chat just a little bit more until you have to dash out. But congratulations, the AMA has bestowed upon you an award. Tell me about that.
Oh man. So I got an email from Dealer News yesterday. I don't know about AMA though.
What? I'm sorry. I thought it was AMA.
No, it's the Dealer News.
Oh.
I had an article with the AMA sometime this summer. They did the 48 and 10 review, but Dealer News put out the top 100 women in power sports. So I got an email yesterday that I was one of those people, which I was kind of dumbfounded.
So you didn't know anything about it?
No, I had no idea. I still don't feel like we're almost worthy enough of it because I see some of these other individuals that are. This is I guess a personal thing, how I feel about myself. But there's so many powerful and incredible women that are doing amazing things in the motorcycling community that I look up to, I appreciate, I'm inspired by, that I'm like, how am I one of these 199 people? I don't get.
Well, it's good that they are seeing you. I think Chris Summers said it. I saw her comment on your post. It's good they see you. And, you're that younger generation that needs to inspire a younger generation. We can't all get this old and still keep inspiring people.
I plan on until they cannot physically ride.
Well, I'm the same way. Way. I try to keep in shape so that I can ride that beast of a bike I have. And, as long as I can. Thanks so much for joining me. I can't wait to see what Whitney does next. And I am very serious about riding with you. So we're going to keep in touch, and you're going to inspire me and support me to do something incredible. Okay. I'm going to end our conversation, but stay around, Whitney. Thank you.
You're welcome.